I'll first of all thank you for the opportunity and fantastic to listen to all the previous speakers on this issue of skilling and the threat or the challenge or opportunity of AI. Just wanted to briefly talk about what the economic survey said, because that was very important on skills. That it said that India is not only the world's most populous country, it's one of the youngest country. 26% of our population is between 10 to 24 years of age bracket. And it said that India's economic success depends on integrating its growing workforce into productive and meaningful jobs. So this is a very important thing to understand, that it's not just about business as usual. You'll have to figure out ways to integrate your workforce. But if you look at the data, 60% of India's workforce is in agriculture. Now, that should give pause. This is coming from the economic survey. That should give pause to everybody. And if you look at real wages, then they are, for both salaried people and for self-employed people, they are below 2017, 2018 numbers. So all the talk about how many jobs are there, what is the unemployment rate, everything, what is the skill level, it all gets captured eventually in what's happening to your wages. If real wages are below 2017-18 numbers, both for salaried and self-employed, then it tells you something quite substantial about what's happening to your people. And what is the skill level and ability that they have. Now, PLFS data, again, I'm telling from economic survey, PLFS data shows that more than 88% of India's workforce is involved in low competency occupation. So everybody, it's not as if any of this is unknown, the level of requirement for skills that we have. And I'll come to the budget because this sets the context. In the skills mismatch, the economic survey says that 53% of the graduates and 36% of the postgraduates are underemployed in roles that are not matching their educational qualification. So that's the economic survey that set the stage, both in wages and competence and everything. Now, in the budget, if you look at it, skills has been mentioned many times. I counted 9 times it has been mentioned, but it's like a spray of uh, using the word skill or skilling in different contexts. Viksit Bharat para 5 says Viksit Bharat encompasses 100% skilled labor with meaningful employment. Para 11, skilling for rural prosperity. Para 32, new scheme will be launched for the first time. For the first time entrepreneurs, skilling will be provided. So this scheme will be launched later. Uh, Para 35, it was mentioned with respect to National Action Plan for Toys. Para 36, with respect to food processing. Para 44, National Center of Excellence for Skilling. No mention of the budget there. Para 65, skilling with respect to shipbuilding clusters. Para 76, skill development for institutes of hospitality management. Para 90, global supply chains. It was said that um our youth, in that context, it was said that the finance minister said that our youth has both skills and talent in reference to global supply chain. And for artificial intelligence, there was a reference in para 46 where it said that there'll be a new center for excellence in AI. And 500 crores was allocated. Now, I'll come to the allocations now. The 500 crores for the Center on AI for Education, 500 crores translates to $58 million. So you have to understand that AI is a global thing. It's a threat or opportunity at a global scale. You have companies in US investing billions of dollars. There's a between million and billion, there's a factor of 1,000. So obviously we are maybe not as rich a country, but you have to understand about what our priorities are if the center of excellence is for 500 crores, which is 58 million. Um, Let me just come to the priority bit, because in this budget, the main story is that we have the government has given 1 lakh crores to taxpayers as money to spend. So 1 lakh crore is a good number to have for context. How much do we spend on skill development? Right? Sorry, my 5 minutes are roughly over. If you allow me 2 more minutes.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
How much do we spend? So I calculated since 2015-16, the budget for Ministry of Skill Development, right, has ranged between, if you calculate it as a percentage of the total expenditure that government makes, right, it has ranged from 0.03% to 0.11% in all these from 15-16 to now. For the coming year, that is the year that will come next financial year, so we don't know what will be actually spent, but they have promised a increase. They have actually doubled it from the current financial year and made it 0.12% of the total expenditure. So, and what is this number? Next year we'll be spending 6,000 crores, right? This year, current year, we have spent 3,000 crores, roughly, I'm speaking, maybe some numbers here or there. But that tells you that on the face of it, everybody understands what's the challenge of skilling, what is the challenge or threat of AI, and look at the contrast between where are we allocating our resources, right? It was 3,000 crores on skilling, a Ministry of Skill Development this year. I also calculated where does it fall in the list of the priorities of the government. So obviously, one way to see the priorities is the amount of money that you've spent. 3,000 crores is frankly not much. So I calculated the subheads of the schemes, different schemes, all the schemes, all the ministry-wise subheads. So there were 123 subheads, all the different ministries, different union territories. So Puducherry will be one subhead. There were 123 subheads. Ministry of Skill Development ranks 86th in that order, right? So for a country which is the most populous, which is one of the youngest, which has a bulk of its workforce poorly trained, most of them earning less because they are not capable, all of those, you just add all those stacks, and then you say it is ranked 86 out of 123. If there were only 100 priorities, it would be ranked 70th. So that tells you something. And you have all kinds of, for some of these schemes, it's a remarkable thing. Somebody just mentioned that 70 schemes were announced for some, there are some 70 schemes. If you take all India, it will be 400 schemes. It's just a barrage. If you try to follow a particular scheme, it will falter. It will, after 2-3 years, it will falter. And a good example is there in this year's budget. There is something called Sankalp, Skill Acquisition and Knowledge Awareness for Livelihood Promotion. Lovely acronym. It was started, I think, in FY24, just a couple of years ago. 214 crores was given. Now, in India's budget, India's GDP is 324 lakh crores. In India's budget, a scheme was started, Sankalp, 214 crores in FY24. In FY25, it was the government spent 350 crores, and in the next year, it's zero. Another scheme is Strive, Skill Strengthening for Industrial Value Enhancement. Budget in 2024, 2 years ago, was 246 crores. This current financial year, that expenditure has been revised to 5 crores. Next year, zero. So now, I'm sure all of us talked about Sankalp and Strive. maybe 2 years ago, right? And then we've all forgotten, as the country has forgotten, as the budget has been removed. My point in all of this, in the little time that I had to sort of look at this issue, was that we've heard so much. I think perhaps, it's a matter of inquiry for journalists like me to just sort of look at how much money has been spent talking about skill and how much has actually been spent improving skills. Not to mention whether any of those skill uh, programs have actually led to better improvements. Because if we have been talking about skills, and this is not just about BJP government, Congress government, all the way going back to the first time we must have started talking about skills and skill development council, this, that, and all the industry veterans being heading them. How is it that our real wages of salaried people, self-employed people, are below 2017-18 levels? Forget everything. I don't care. Okay, you tell me that only 5 people out of 10 are employed, but are those 5 people earning more? They're not. So they are obviously not they're not skilled. They are not meeting the demands of the market. Both sides, India doesn't just have an employment problem, we also have an employability problem. If instead of a worker, I became a job giver, right? Became an entrepreneur, I'll also have a problem of people being unemployable. I can meet them and get. So I mean, it's a massive problem, and frankly, it doesn't merit any serious discussion if you spend this amount of money. If you spend 3,000 rupee, 3,000 crores, right? Um, in one of the financial years, not too long back, I calculated in 2022-23, so that's like 3 years ago, the total money spent by Ministry of Skill Development was 1,371 crores. Now, we are living in a world where this is the essential thing, and the doors are closing. We also talk about international migration and everything, but most countries are closing their doors. They would rather you stay in Bangalore and do some online thing. They don't want to see necessarily a brown person on their white streets. So frankly, xenophobia is very much there, and more of it will come. Not to mention the trade wars that are already on the way. So that may further put down chances of, even if you're terribly skilled, your product may not still sell because somebody's closed the door. On top of that, you have AI, which is where China is actually surprising US, right? With lower quality chips and less money, and with US actually targeting them on AI. I mean, it is just mind boggling to imagine that we would spend 3,000 crores on skill development when our real wages are low, you know, at a sort of a decadal kind of a low. Unemployment, I mean, we are happy with our employment numbers. Everybody keeps repeating all employment metrics are good. India's employment metrics have improved primarily because women have joined the workforce because out of distress. They are doing stuff which ord- uh, ordinarily we would not want anybody to do, right? They don't earn that money. It's a distress kind of a job profile that India has increasingly. And so frankly, I don't know. I mean, it is so remarkably stark, the whole situation, that you know the numbers per se do not merit very serious discussion. Well, you can have a larger discussion anyway. So that's my, sorry, I'm perhaps taking double the time. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. In